Today's Fantasy Football Almost Daily is brought to you by Game Blazers, which just announced its single biggest weekly prize pool ever. It's not this week. It's a little bit in the future. $75,000 will be given away during Week 9's mid-season madness, which means you have a few weeks to stock up on your inventory to stack those lineups. Game Blazers helping your cause with 4 to 5 packs on sale this week, only with each pack of 3 untradeable items at just $5 each. Use promo code FFAD when you make your first deposit for a match of up to $100. Build your ultimate fantasy team now at Game Blazers. And at Fanball, we build contests for real players, not algorithms. Say goodbye to those mass entry grinders and embrace the sweat with a shot at a payout, because daily fantasy sports shouldn't feel like a losing battle. You got a chance at Fanball. Fanball.com, all set with a full slate of Week 6 NFL contests. That includes a Thursday plus London 5x5 and a Peacock that pays out $1,000 to the top player. Check out the lobby right now at fanball.com. Let's kick things off, though, with Less Than Jake.
From the Sports Hub Games Network, this is Fantasy Football Almost Daily with your host, Matt Harrison.
With me today, the man, the myth, the legend, Scott Fish. How are you doing, dude?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. It's the season is over, a quarter of the way finished now, which makes me a little bit sad. It's going by so fast already.
It is going so quickly. Scott, I've always wanted to know, do you have a running count of how many T-shirts you have that have your name on it?
This is just the only one. It's just
that's it. There's so many cool designs that all your Scott Fishbowl people come up with that it's hard to say no to all of them.
Yeah, I probably have 100. I legit have no idea. I wouldn't even, not even a guess.
Fantastic. The Top Gun version today. Scott, I'm excited to find out the fate of your crazy fish fillet guillotine league that people should really follow along. You do a hangout on Wednesday night, and that's with Fantasy Cares, right? You want to tell us a little bit more about that?
It's on the Fantasy Cares org YouTube channel. It's just, our Wednesday night hangout is just we hang out and talk about whatever. There's some football, there's some other sports, there's movies, TV, there's food, there's just whatever we want to talk about that night, just whatever's on our minds.
Then there's wheel spinning and eliminations of teams. Yep. And it's intrigue up the wazoo.
Yep. I created a guillotine league that is basically it's a reality show. The team that finishes last place isn't necessarily chopped. They are put on a wheel with some of the other low scorers, and we randomly use a wheel to decide who's getting chopped. We decide, various league rules may change at the whim of the wheel. So I like to say the wheel decides, the league abides, basically.
The wheel has saved me twice already this season from being eliminated. It's pretty magical so far. And now my bad bye week is out of the way. So I'm feeling great right now. So
yeah, you and Bijan having fun.
Me and Bijan having fun. All right, let's talk about a little bit of the latest news as we go around the league.
News team, assemble!
Scott, Omarion Hampton headed to IR with an ankle injury. That makes me so sad because I have a lot of Omarion Hampton all over the place.
Me too. It's really sad. It's going to be at least 4 weeks for him, if not longer, with that ankle injury. But it opens up the door for a couple new running backs for people to grab off waivers that I'm sure we'll talk about today. He was just making hay too, and this week's matchup was going to be his best matchup. Like Dowdle just went for 200 plus in this matchup.
Yeah. There's some take a chance on me level players this week for the Chargers there that you can pick up. We'll talk about them in a minute. Brock Bowers is week to week with a knee injury, and they finally did hold him out last week, even though he's been injured since week 1, basically.
Yeah, and Michael Mayer has a concussion, so they're basically tight endless right now over in Las Vegas. We'll see if Mayer ends up, getting back in time to play next week. But yeah, that's not good for Bowers owners. And that was kind of a late in the week one that we found out that he definitely wasn't going to play. I believe that was Saturday afternoon and maybe even Sunday morning.
Yeah, I had to scramble in a few leagues where I have Brock Bowers and find like the Tommy Trembles of the world to start. I chose poorly because there's a whole bunch of tight ends we're going to talk about this week on the Waiver Wire show.
Yeah.
The other Brock Purdy, he did not participate in Monday's practice. Now, 49ers coming off the mini bye after having the Thursday night game. So it's possible Brock Purdy could play this week.
Possible. I mean, the way Mac Jones is playing, they can be cautious with Purdy, which is really interesting and fun. It's a good spot to have for the 49ers. But yeah, it's possible he comes back this week.
Couple of Thursday night matchup notes. Saquon Barkley was held out of Monday's practice, and they're playing the Giants on Thursday. On the other side of that, Darius Slayton didn't practice, and Jackson Dart was limited as well.
Wow, that's it's a lot going on for the Giants. That's not a good situation with an early week Thursday night matchup.
I found a stat, I believe it was on ESPN, that the Giants' run defense through the first 4 games of the season was the worst run DVOA defense since 1979.
Wow, that is shocking. I did not realize they were that bad this year.
So if Barkley is healthy against his, former team, a little bit of a revenge game, it's like all systems go for Barkley to just have a giant week. Terry McLaurin might return this week, and it sounds like JJ McCarthy will be returning in week 7. The Vikings are on bye this week, though.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, both of those are going to be good to get back. McCarthy probably hit waivers in most leagues after, his not so great performance and then being injured for so long. McLaurin, yeah, I'm anxious to see what it does to Deebo Samuel, because Deebo's been great while McLaurin's been out.
Yeah. Well, I think it probably does more to Luke McCaffrey, who's been pretty legit the last few weeks too. So, all right, you ready to disco, Scott?
Let's disco.
All right.
I wanna boogie with you.
If you're listening to the Fantasy Football Almost Daily podcast, you might be like, why are they just playing random disco music? If you're watching us on YouTube or on Spotify, you'll see that there's a little Waiver Wire video graphic there with our disco music. So let's get to the Waiver Wire. The trending players, the quarterback that I have on the list is Sam Darnold, who's 23% rostered. And don't tell Brian Johnson, but he just might have been right about this whole Sam Darnold thing. Multiple touchdown passes in 3 of his last 4, including 4 last week, averaging 274 passing yards per game in his last 4 games. And he gets the Jags this week, who have allowed the 5th most passing yards. If Darnold's available on your waiver wire, as he is in 77% of leagues, fix that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a nice little plug and play, and really he's been pretty startable every week so far. Brock Purdy just 2 weeks ago had a good game against the Jaguars. Last night Mahomes had 300. I think he had 1 passing, 1 rushing. So even he had a good week. This pretty decent matchup for Darnold here this week too.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. The running back position, Kendre Miller, who's 20% rostered, 11 touches in 2 straight weeks. Alvin Kamara's touches went from 19 to 12 in the last 3. So it's almost an even split now. Kamara could be traded too, and it makes no sense for the Saints to keep him. So Kendre Miller could be the guy in New Orleans in the not too distant future. But think about it this way. If they were to trade Kamara, Miller's fantasy playoff stretch is insane. Miami in week 13, Tampa and Carolina, where they're not as good as a matchup. They're kind of middle of the road against the run. But in week 16 and 17, the Jets and the Titans are the 2 teams that Kendre Miller, who could be the lone running back for New Orleans, that could be a gold mine if you can get him right now.
Yeah, and even as a backup to him potentially, if you start to catch wind that Kamara might get traded, Devin Neal, consider Devin Neal in a deep league. But yeah, Kendrick could absolutely be the guy if that happens. But even without it, it does seem like he's getting that 8 to 12 touch range the last few weeks. So it's worth having. And Rattler's actually played decent, and they beat the Giants. I get that, and they've lost the rest of their games, but they've scored some points. They've had some drives. So Kendra is an interesting player to pick up.
It does not feel like the Saints are in any hurry to go to Tyler Shuck.
No. Yeah, I think Rattler's been fine.
Yeah. All right. Chargers running backs Hassan Haskins and Kamani Vidal, both 1% rostered. I feel like we need Thor Nystrom on right now.
I know, right?
He'll be on Fantasy Football Weekly with me this weekend, and I'm sure he's going to stake a claim to Kamani Vidal. Omarion Hampton placed on IR. Will miss at least 4 weeks. Najee's already gone. Vidal got elevated from the practice squad last week, and they basically split touches between the two of them. Vidal had 5 touches. Haskins had 6. The Dolphins this week have allowed the most rushing yards in the league this year and the most combo yards to opposing backs. 183 combo yards per game to opposing backs. That's going to be split among Hassan Haskins and Kamani Vidal in this one.
Yeah, and this is assuming they don't reach out and pick someone up like a Gus Edwards, or anyone. I think Thor is going to tell us Vidal has more potential. He's the likely better pass catcher. We'll see how it goes, but it is kind of gross that it might just be a full-on split, and that offense already throws a ton. Omarion was so wonderful because he took almost everything from that backfield. Now that it's going to be split and possibly run less, I'm a little more worried about it.
All right. Let's go to the Cardinals. Will the Cardinals forgive Amari DiMercato, or is it just over for him and now it's just Michael Carter and Bam Knight? Carter was correct. You called it last week that he was the starter. He said it to the press, and then Scott Fish definitely repeated that on the show, and it was fantastic.
I sniffed that one out before he mentioned it to the press. I was very, very happy that when I was doing the matchup, I was like, I think it might be Amari in his normal role and Carter as the starter. And I think Amari is probably going to be fine. That's going to be rough with Coach Gannon there. I know that Gannon's apologized since and whatnot. But I think Amari still will just maintain his role. I think it's Michael Carter is the starter there, and Amari is the third down guy. And Bam Knight, who scored a touchdown this week as well, is going to get a little bit of goal line, and he'll be spell Michael Carter.
Yeah, Carter had 23 touches on Sunday. Bam Knight had 5. DiMercato had 3. And, of course, he had the very famous dropped ball at the goal line on a 70.
They almost all 3 scored. Almost. They were like a fingertip away from all 3 scoring.
The issue with the Cardinals, tough matchup this week. They got the Colts. They've been pretty good against the run. Then they have Green Bay, who's been pretty decent against the run. Then a bye. So the next 3 weeks, you're probably not starting either Michael Carter or Bam Knight or Amari DiMercato at all. And then Dallas and Seattle are 2 good matchups coming after the bye. But Trey Benson's injury is 4 to 6 weeks, and it's possible that Benson could be back right after their bye week. So I don't think I'm spending a bunch of money on Michael Carter, even if he's available right now. It's like a buck or two.
Yeah, not a ton, but there's a little hint of also wanting to keep him away from potential opponents in your fantasy league as well. But yeah,
that too. Rico Dowdle is the next guy. You gave him 2 nicknames this week. One accidentally. The Dowdler was on purpose, but Geezer Dowdle, which I think was autocorrected in our Slack. I like Geezer Dowdle. But Panthers coach Dave Canales calls him War Daddy. Did you know that one?
I did not know that. This guy's full of nicknames. Yeah,
he's so many nicknames. He had a huge week last week with Chuba Hubbard on the shelf. Hubbard is day-to-day this week. Hasn't been otherworldly awesome on the season so far either. Hasn't scored 4.1 yards per carry. Dallas is the opponent this week. They've allowed the 5th most combo yards to opposing runners at 151 per game. So Rico Dowdle, if he gets all of the work, it's a revenge game against the Cowboys.
Yep.
And he's in a great spot. So I think he's a instant start if you can get him on your lineup this week.
I feel like it's also one of those situations where Chuba has been dealing with stuff all season, but playing through, and now he missed 1 week, of course. They can be a little more cautious with bringing Chuba back. I think knowing that Dowdle can handle the load in these two. So I think there's a chance that potentially he'll take the full workload again. The main issue I think is going forward in that Dowdle has proven himself so well that maybe it's more of a split role, whereas Chuba was taking most of the work before that.
Yeah.
And then Dowdle, of course, all the work. Now, do they split to try to keep each other healthy? And because they're both, Dowdle's been very effective. Chuba's been effective historically, but not so much early in the season. Do they split and hurt all fantasy owners?
Yeah, probably. What is your favorite Rico Dowdle nickname?
I don't know. I've called him. I've said the Dowdler for a couple of years, for 2-3 years, but I don't really. I don't know. It's the Geezer one was definitely a typo. It's not often you have a take a chance on me player be the number one player at his position.
There you go. Yeah, fun. I'm a big Geezer Dowdler. Put them together. Geezer Dowdler.
Geezer Dowdler.
All right. Brashard Smith of the Chiefs. He's 13% rostered. He was only on the field for 6 snaps on Monday Night Football.
That looked good.
But he had 4 touches on 6 snaps.
Yep.
That's pretty crazy. Hunt and Pacheco have been totally ordinary, and maybe that's a compliment to them. Smith has definitely seen as more of a pass catcher, though. 3 of his 4 touches were through the air. But the Chiefs just don't throw that much to their backs all that much. So while I'm really interested in Brashard Smith, it seems like the opportunity should be there, but the philosophy of the Chiefs is just not there.
Yeah, I mean, Brashard, he profiles as, and college showed he's a pass catcher. He came in and he said, 6 snaps, and he had 3 catches. So
yeah,
that's what he comes in for apparently. But he's looked good. He's looked, even that one run play, or actually it was a little dump off, but following his blockers, finding his holes quickly and just hitting them. I've liked what I've seen in his very limited time. I wouldn't mind having, in a lot of my leagues I do, but I wouldn't mind having him at the end of my bench for $1, just in case he becomes something more.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to the wide receivers. Isaac Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
He's 6% rostered. Khalif Raymond looks like he's going to be out for a little while, and he was on the field for 49% or more of snaps in every healthy game this season. So Tesla should see a pretty decent uptick in snaps, and he's already caught 2 touchdowns this year. So what are your thoughts on Tesla?
Yeah, he's he got 3 catches and 2 are touchdowns, and one is the other one was that one-hander on the sideline.
Just the highlight reel guy.
Yeah, that's all. Just all highlights from Tesla. One of Thor's favorites as well. I really like Tesla. He's very, very athletic player. The concern is just so many mouths to feed in Detroit. I would put him on the back of my bench for a $0 or $1 bet or whatever. He might be the kind of guy you're dropping in a week because he didn't do anything, and there's a better free agent on the waiver wire show that we talk about. But it's worth in an offense that scores a lot, and he will have a little opportunity. It's an interesting throw on the back of the roster just in case for a week or two and see how it pans out.
It's nice that they target him in the red zone, and that's not something that the Lions generally do with Jamison Williams. He's just kind of the deep threat. So having another end zone target guy is great, but like you said, there's so many mouths to feed there.
I do need to go and rewatch. I haven't rewatched that game yet because Brock Wright, after Khalif Raymond went out, Tesla and Brock Wright are the 2 that really jumped in snaps. And I kind of want to see how and why that happened. I don't have context for it other than Khalif leaving. So that might give me a little more info for it. But
all right. Xavier Hutchinson is 0% rostered. He's the wide receiver 2 of the Texans. He's had more snaps every game this year than Christian Kirk, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, and Justin Watson. And all 4 of those players have higher ownership percentages than Hutchinson. Problem is he's only getting 3 targets per game. And last week he caught all 3 of his targets for 18 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And those were the first 2 touchdowns of his career.
There we go.
So like, you can't even be like, oh, he's a consistent red zone guy when that's his.
So I think what this isn't go pick up Xavier Hutchinson. This is drop Christian Kirk, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, and Justin Watson.
I mean, it's possible. A lot of them have potential, but it is a lot of wide receivers in that room. I will note this was Christian. Was this Christian Kirk's first game back, or is it his second?
I think it was his second.
Second. I don't remember. It's probably sad, but I don't remember what he did the week before. He went like 4 for 60 in this one. I don't remember what he did in week 4. I mean, that's pretty close to droppable though. It's maybe good on bye weeks.
Maybe good on bye weeks. I'm seeing if I can look it up. And obviously the Texans are.
He was 3 for 20.
Texans are on bye this week. So yeah, Kirk 1 catch, 3 catches for 20, and then 4 for 64. He's caught all of his targets basically, but and
with the bye week here, it's probably worth just grabbing someone else on waivers. You could probably get him back later if you really wanted him. Yeah,
absolutely. Let's talk about Ryan Flournoy, who was not a guy I knew existed as of like last week at this time. With both CeeDee Lamb and Kevontae Turpin out, Flournoy got in on the mix of 57% of Dallas Cowboy wide receiver snaps last week. He had 9 targets, 6 catches, 114 yards against the Jets. Plus, he added 2 carries for 10 yards on the ground. He also had a 12-yard rush the week before as well. So this is probably only a play while Lamb and Turpin remain out.
Yeah.
And the Panthers are a tough matchup this week against wide receivers. Maybe it's probably because it's easier to ding them with the tight end or run running backs against them, but they're top 6 in receptions, yards, and touchdowns allowed to wide receivers. So I'm not chasing the Flournoy box score.
Yeah, and we'll see how long Turpin's out, and CeeDee Lamb might only be out 2 more weeks. I think Flournoy did kind of what we thought Tolbert would do. We thought Tolbert was going to take the step up with those 2 out, and Tolbert did absolutely nothing. I mean, there's benefit that the Cowboys, they have more attempts, more pass attempts, completions, passing yards than everyone else in the league. So there's a lot of volume to be had there. And if you can get the number 3, because I'm going to go with Pickens and Ferguson are the top 2 targets on that team. If you're getting the number 3 in games where they're just lighting up scoreboards right now, I can see it be worthy. If you need a bye week fill in for $0 or $1, I can see it working out averagely, but that's about it.
A guy I was all over last week, and I actually started in some leagues, was Kendrick Bourne, who caught 10 of 11 targets for 142 yards on Thursday. The 49ers passed the ball. They passed the ball a ton. And Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, they're both still a little iffy for this week. They might be back. George Kittle seems like he's at least another week away. Week 7 might be the earliest for him. So Kendrick Bourne, if Jennings and Pearsall are out, Kendrick Bourne is a starter on fantasy rosters.
Yep, absolutely. And the way that Mac Jones has been playing definitely makes him a starter. Right? But you prefaced it. Keep an eye on Pearsall and Jennings, because I don't like Bourne was not doing really much of anything when either one or both of those players were playing. So maybe it's a Mac Jones thing. Maybe it's those other wide receivers playing thing. I think it'd be really risky if some of them come back though.
It's that Patriots combo between Jones and Bourne from back in the day.
There it is. Yeah.
The chem, as the kids call it. They got the chem. Another 49er, as we flip over to the tight end position, Jake Tonjes, 6% rostered. You've mentioned him a couple of times this year, Scott.
Yeah, I was going to say that was last week where I said that Tongas might be the beneficiary on last Thursday night of all the injuries.
Yeah, 11 targets, caught 7 of them, 41 yards and a score. Kittle is on the horizon, though. And Tampa this week is probably Tongas' last start, I think. But the Bucs have allowed the 4th most touchdown passes to tight ends, including 2 in week 4 to Dallas Goedert and 2 last week to A.J. Barner, who we're going to talk about in a second.
Yeah, that's a lot of recent touchdowns. And he's highly targeted in the red zone for this team currently. He saw 2 or 3 the first game he played when he caught that game-winning touchdown after Kittle left. I think he's still fairly, take a chance on me, startable worthy in a rough tight end position that was not so rough this week. A lot of tight ends scored.
If you're on one of those fantasy sites that you can do parlays on, I think a Jake Tongas anytime touchdown is a pretty good bet this week.
Yeah.
AJ Barner, 2% rostered. He is tied for the lead in tight end touchdowns. What kind of world are we in? It's AJ Barner and Dallas Goedert tied with 4 touchdown receptions this season. He's only averaging 3 targets per game. The Jags are the opponent this week. They've allowed a tight end touchdown in each of the last 2 weeks, and Sam Darnold's just targeting AJ Barner down by the stripe.
Yeah, that's AJ Barner is who a lot of us were hoping Elijah Arroyo would be before the season, apparently. But yeah, it's Sam Darnold seems to have locked in on him there, and it's any tight ends are tough and fluky enough. But when you find one that becomes his quarterback's like go-to in the red zone like that, like Ferguson in Dallas and things like that, it's definitely worth having on a roster.
Absolutely. Mason Taylor is 14% rostered of the Jets, 12 targets last week, 9 catches, 67 yards. And he's kind of the second receiving option after Garrett Wilson for Justin Fields there in New York. And some really tempting matchups coming up in the next few weeks. They have bottom 10 tight end defenses in weeks 7, 8, 11, and 12.
Yeah, he's very clearly the number 2 target in that offense. In fact, he has 28 targets. Garrett Wilson has 48 targets because he's a monster target hog. No other player has more than 10 targets on that team.
Wow.
So he's getting 3 times the targets as the next guy up. It's basically
even Breece Hall. I would have thought Breece Hall has more targets.
I was looking at wide receivers and tight ends.
Breece Hall's in the 20s.
Breece Hall's way over that. Yeah. So
yeah. But there's 3 guys they throw the ball to. It's Hall.
Yeah. Okay. Here you go. Breece Hall
24, and it's Mason Taylor.
Yeah. Breece Hall 24, Mason Taylor 28, Garrett Wilson 48, and then the next is 9. 9
times.
So it's basically just those 3, and if you're not counting the running backs, it's those 2.
Yeah, I think Mason Taylor is a guy who's pretty sneaky right now, especially since he hasn't scored a touchdown yet. I think that people are going to be undervaluing him right now, and the Jets' schedule is actually pretty easy down the stretch. So I get the feeling that they're the only winless team in the NFL right now, but their offenses looked all right, and they're producing some fantasy scorers. I think Mason Taylor is going to be just fine.
Yeah, they've scored 21 plus points in 4 of 5. They're scoring points, they're just not winning.
Did you hear that crazy Justin Fields stat? If the opponent has scored 21 or more points, I think he's 0-28 now.
Jeez. It's a lot of Bears years.
Yeah, it is. All right, last guy we'll mention of the day. It's Theo Johnson, the other New York tight end. He scored last week, had 7 targets, 6 catches, and 33 yards. He also scored the week before. So he's scored 3 touchdowns in Jackson Dart's 2 starts, but that also coincides with Malik Neighbors being gone for the season. But somebody's got to catch the ball, and somebody's got to catch the ball in the end zone. Wan'Dale Robinson's kind of a little guy. Darius Slayton's a little bit hurt right now.
Yeah.
Theo Johnson's about what's left.
Yep. I think he He might be the safest of the 4 tight ends we've mentioned, even though I like Mason Taylor a bunch. I drafted him in a bunch of leagues. Theo Johnson might have the best opportunity to be, maybe the number 1 or number 2 target getter in that offense for tight ends and wide receivers. But also the Giants are going to be losing in a lot of games. Like the game scripts are going to be in Theo Johnson's favor too. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So I like that. He might be the one. It'd be between him and Taylor as a long-term tight end option. There's one more player to mention, but I'll let you go, and I'll mention it when you're ready for me to mention it.
I'm ready. Go.
I think there's something to be considered with Joe Flacco being traded to the Bengals.
Oh yeah, I did just see that right before we started the broadcast here.
Yeah, I mean, he's got Jamar Chase, he's got T. Higgins, he's the line is still going to be that line, but he is shown in many steps. Some days with Indianapolis, sometimes with the Browns. This year he was really rough with the Browns, but 2 years ago with the Browns, he lit it up. This is arguably the best weapons he's had in a very long time.
Sure. So I mean, this is the best weapons he's ever had.
Yeah, that's probably correct. I was trying to think back to like the Super Bowl days and like some of those earlier Ravens years, but even then it was not Chase and Higgins.
No.
So if the line can keep him upright enough to get these passes downfield, it's an interesting situation where he's at, because there's some teams on that schedule that are not good against the pass right now, and it's going to be pretty interesting.
Would you guess that Jake Browning gets one more week here, or do they just go to Flacco right away?
I would probably guess that they're going to go with Browning one more time, but I mean, this was an early week trade. They have the full week, so.
And there were hints that Browning was maybe going to lose that job, but the only other options were not very good. It was like Brett Rippon and some other things like that.
Yeah, Flacco is not a young pup. He's been on several teams. He's ran several different types of offenses. I'm sure there's some terminology differences that he just has to learn to equate. I wouldn't be shocked if he can figure it out in a week, or at least some level of install that he can figure out in a week.
I think it's going to be, hey, Joe, hand it off or chuck it deep.
I just
drawn up plays in the sand.
In a super deep league, I just dropped him before the weekend because like I needed to. It's super flex, but it's 14 teams and it's I couldn't.
Well, and why wouldn't you at that point, right? You don't know that he's going to get traded midweek to a division rival of all teams.
Yeah. And it's a tough matchup this week. So just it's the Packers. Let Browning go out there and bring Flacco for a better matchup next week.
But didn't Joe Flacco just beat the Packers?
This is true. He just did. Imagine beating the Packers with 2 different teams in the same year.
In the same month.
In the same. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That'd be hilarious.
Be pretty intense. All right, Scott. I think that's a fantastic group of free agents we got. Is there anybody in that list that we covered that you'd be like, that's the number one guy? Who's your number one free agent this week?
I mentioned this before the show. I said it's a week, WEAK week. It might be one of the tight ends just because I think Taylor and Johnson probably have some long-term seasonal value. Dowdle's probably up there as interesting because I think he's proven he can handle that load. A lot of these guys feel like replacements for backs that are coming back, or like backfields or wide receiver cores or whatever that are going to get trickier. Unless you're in Superflex, I don't know that I value the quarterback thing as much, but Sam Darnold's interesting because that's a long-term pickup too.
So in your week, you like them all?
No, my point is most of them are just fill-ins in the next couple weeks of buys, really.
Absolutely.
Buys or injuries. Taylor and Johnson are the 2 that strike me as long-term options.
Yeah. All right, Scott, thanks for joining the show and providing all of your insights again this week. And hey, go check out that Fantasy Cares YouTube broadcast. You guys go on Wednesday. You also have a trivia night, right?
Trivia night is Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's hosted by Joey Wright. And then Wednesday nights at 9:30 Eastern is the Wednesday night hangout, where we will spin a wheel a bunch of times and have a few drinks and talk about everything.
The trivia night is really fun, and Joey is an awesome guy to kind of host that. And it's interactive, so you can play along. They have you play within the show, and you can get in, and it's a fun way to just kind of, spend some time on a Tuesday night.
Absolutely.
Hey, that's tonight.
That is tonight.
All right. Well, there you go. All right. I wanted to remind everybody, win your share of $750,000 in guaranteed cash prizes. They're all in free rolls, mind you, over at Game Blazers. Promo code FFAD for up to a $100 deposit match. Register today. This was Fantasy Football Almost Daily. This was Matt Harrison and Scott Fish, and we'll see you tomorrow, maybe.